In this video, we're going to try something a little bit different with our birdhouse. Again, I'm using Blender 2.73, and what we're going to do is we're going to take the birdhouse that we created earlier and we're going to massage it into something that can actually be sent to a 3D printer. Alright, so let's get into Edit and start working on it. So when we need to do something to a 3D printer, we need to have, we could theoretically 3D print the birdhouse as it is, but it would be very expensive to do that because 3D printers charge by the volume of the material that's being used. So we want to hollow out the birdhouse. Before we do that, let's do a few odds and ends though. For instance, on the edge here, I've submitted a couple things to 3D printers and I've noticed they complain about sharp edges. If you see that little edge right down there, that bottom edge there. So we're going to eliminate that complaint. So I'm in face mode and I'm going to type RY45 to move that thing down so that it's a nice sharp 90-degree angle. And we'll do the same thing over here, RY-45. Something I neglected on the previous cleanup was that we had an end-on here on the end of the perch. So let's get rid of that and fix it. So go into edge mode and do Shift Alt right click on the edge there so we have the whole edge selected, and then type Alt F to put a face on it, and then go to our materials and assign it the same color as the roof. Okay, now we fixed that end-on. So now what we want to do is we want to start hollowing out the birdhouse, or hollowing out the center of it. So I'm going to hit 1 on the number keypad to go into front mode and hit 5 to where we get to the point where it says front ortho. And then we want to see all the edges, clear through it, so we select this guy. Now if I turn it a little bit, you can see we see the edges in the back. And so I'm going to do a B for box select and get to the bottom. That way we selected all those edges on our bottom. Type E to extrude, and then let's roll it up a little bit so we can see it, and type S to scale, and then move the mouse in a little bit to generate a scaled in set of faces. Now what we're doing here is we're going to add another material over here, and we'll call this the floor, and pick a color, some variation of brown. Okay, how about that? And then we'll do an assign on that face there. A pair of faces, rather. Alright, now we want to do is deselect that inner edge. And then I want to type E to extrude, left click, and then G, Z, and move the cursor up a little bit. And you can see the inside of that thing, so that we're starting to create a base plate for our birdhouse. And while we're in there, it's going to get difficult to do this since we have to do all of it on the inside of the birdhouse. So let's do a little trick here. Go into face mode, Control Tab F for face mode, and do a right click on that face and a right click on that face and type H to hide it. And then we can see into the bottom of the birdhouse nice and easily. Okay, back to edge mode. Control Tab E for edge. And I'm going to do a, see, will it select them all? Yes, it does. So I did a Alt right click on that edge and it selected all of the edges all the way around. Now let's go ahead, actually, while we're here, let's go ahead and let's just pick some of the edges and create another face for the inside of the bottom edge of the birdhouse. So I picked those three edges, type F, not Control F, but F for face, and then another assign, and we'll do the same thing for the other half. F for face, assign it to the floor. Go back into face mode, Control Tab F for face, and then pick those two and then hide them again. Okay, now go back to edge mode, do Alt right select. Nah, why is it, doesn't it pick the whole loop? I don't know. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So we'll manually right click holding the shift key down on all the edges here so that we get all the edges picked. Because what we want to do is we want to drag that up into the center of the birdhouse. And this is where we need to watch carefully to see how far we drag it. So I tap 1 on the numpad, and we're still in ortho mode. Type E to extrude, and then enter, and then G, Z to drag it up in the Z mode. What we want to do is we want to bring it up to right about there, so that we want to maintain the thickness of the wall, or of, I'm sorry, of the roof, without going into the roof anymore. All right. So we've dragged the thing up, so now we have an interior wall most of the way up. Now we have to finish it by hitting again E to extrude, enter, G, Z, drag it all the way up to there. Now we want to do is collapse that thing so that it fits nicely under the roof. So what we want to do is right click on that edge, right click on that edge, and type SX0, and Shazam, it brings it together, brings it up inside there. Okay, now while we're in here inside the birdhouse, let's do some, we have all the faces except for the hole here right in front of the birdhouse hole. Let's do some more face assigning. So Control Tab F for face, and do right click and right click on those two, which is, that's the underside of the roof, as you can see now, and we'll assign that to the roof. Alright, all we want to do is change these faces here on the inside faces of the birdhouse. Whoops, we got the wrong one. That's okay. So we hold the shift key down and right click on these faces. Don't worry about the front, just worry about the back. So right click on the faces. Okay, we got them all? Yeah. Got the back, but that's okay, because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over here and do an assign to the box. Now I've hit A to select, I see that now the inside faces of the box match the color of the outside faces of the box with the exception of the front edge. So now let's deal with the front edge. First off, Control Tab V to go in vertex mode. Right click on this guy and then X to delete vertices. Now let's go ahead and back to face mode, and we need to select all of these faces on the front here. Okay, on the inside of the front, you can see those faces, and do an X to delete those faces. Alright, so now now let's drag the hole through. Control Tab E for edge select, right click and click that loop there, that edge loop. Now I'm going to hit 3 on the numpad. Now type E to extrude and then GY, and there's that edge loop, and we'll bring it in to match the width of our plane there. Okay, great. We're almost done. Now we need to do is hold the Shift and the Alt key down and pick this edge loop right there, which then selects the edge loop that runs around the inside edge there. And again, sometimes it picks them and sometimes it doesn't. So let's right click on this one, Shift right click rather. And then we need to go over to this guy and Shift right click on that one. Okay, so now let's check it. Yep, we've got the inside edge loop on our inside of our material, and then we've got the inside of that hole. And then in this case, so we want to build faces all the way around that thing. So since it's if we typed F, we'd get something we don't want. We want Alt F. So, and then which we did, and that gives us faces on the thing. Now we need to go over there and do an assign to the box color. Okay, and just about done, I believe. Let me check to see. So if we do an Alt H, what do we got? Alright, we have the color assigned to the inside of the birdhouse on the roof. We've got the hole generated. Got the edges there. We can do one other trick here while we're at it. Let's do this. So type Control Tab E to edge select, and B do a box select, and then move it up to right there to get that full complete inside surface. And then we'll do a scale, S for scale, Y, Z. And what that does, puts them all in the same plane. And while we're looking at it, we can see that we didn't move the edge on that inner edge up as high as the roof. So we could do this, is we could do a G, Z, and hit the Shift key, and that way we can do a fine. Oh, we got a problem right there. Well, we'll fix that in a second. We'll do, see the second edge there? Alright, so G, Z, Shift, and get it up there. G, Z, Shift, move it up slowly. Okay, now we'll hit A to select everything. So we have everything selected, and then we click remove doubles. We seem to have an extra edge there. What's going on? Right click, G, Z. Yep, we got an extra edge, so we need to get rid of that. So one way to do it is to go into Control Tab V for vertices, A to deselect everything, B to box select, grab that little area there, And we look, yep, there we go. See, 2 verts instead of 1. So Alt M, merge at center. I'll hit A to deselect, B to box select, and go over here and pick this other guy. And again, we have 3 verts there. How did that happen? Control or Alt M at center. Get rid of it. While we're in here checking to make sure we didn't make any other mistakes, we got 1 vert there, 1 vertice there. Yep, we're good. Now we can double check, go back into edge select mode, right click on that edge, drag it down temporarily. Yep, see, we've only got the 1. Then we can go back and do that. Let's see, I think it's pretty close to, yeah, it's close enough. Alright, so now what we have is we have a birdhouse that's hollow. And all we would need to do now to make it so that we could send it to for a 3D printer would maybe scale it to the correct size. And there's some tools available in Blender that allows you to measure the exact sizes of objects, and I suggest my defaults are set. Excuse me. We go over here, I select my defaults to metric, and then when I use the measuring tool, I know that it's in metric measurements, so I know how big the birdhouse is going to be. Okay, that's it. The birdhouse is ready to be sent to a 3D printer, except for the size. And in case you wanted to change the size, you do a shift or an A to select all, and then an S, and then just scale it down, and like so, moving the mouse over till you got to the size you want, and then you're done. Send it off to the printer, someplace like Shapeways or whatever. Alright, thanks for watching. If you have a problem or question about it, be sure to reference the timestamp on the video. And if you like it, click like. If you don't, enter a comment. Again, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next video.